All right. Looks like we are live. Welcome, everyone, to our daily success call for Monday, the 11th of April, 2022. John Lavinia here with you. Happy Palm Sunday to everyone who celebrated that yesterday. We're just less than a week away from Easter celebrations here. And so that's a big holiday for a lot of people, and Passover as well, and the Jewish holidays. Congratulations, and I guess congratulations. Well, anyway, happy Passover and happy Easter, everyone. So we just had a weekend, and I'm back, and I'm getting my brain waves going here. But Michelle just brought up a good point. I do want to, before we get into it, I want to welcome everyone here who's tuning in, especially our new members, because a lot of times people they think, well, I'm getting into this e-commerce thing. I'm going to go it alone, right? It's just me, and I don't have support or whatever. Well, no, perish the thought. You're here in this community for a reason. Also, we got people tuning in from YouTube who may have nothing to do with this, e-commerce community. And what we share here on these calls is ideas, for success as an entrepreneur and as just a self-determined person going through life and having a good experience, right? So whatever philosophy you get out of here, apply it to whatever you're using or doing in life, and that's my intention for you here today. So a question was brought up, or consideration was brought up, I should say, on which direction to go in, which I love. I love that topic because it's one that I've studied for a long time, and that I have found myself, just out of my own necessity, having to restudy and remind myself of. Because as life happens and things change and people achieve or attempt to achieve goals, it's a good idea to reassess where we're going. And a lot of you have done that. A lot of you, this is a new endeavor for you. So you reassessed something. You didn't just show up here by happenstance, right? There was some deliberate choice that you made to show up here in this business, in this community, in this conversation, if you're tuning in on the interwebs. And so that the question then is, why'd you choose that? Now, there are a number of things that determine the choices that we make, some of which you're conscious of, some of which you're not. One of the books that we've recently studied, well, in my book study group, which you're all invited to if you like, I can put a link in the chat, but we have a book study group that my mastermind group runs. And we've recently been reading a book on sales and persuasion and how to get more customers. Let's say you got traffic to a website, or a potential customer sitting across from you, how to convert more people into, buyers, participants, people who enroll in whatever your offer happens to be. Okay, so certainly we're all engaged in that. We're all engaged in some sort of commerce where we're converting, the public into, a customer, right? So that's a conversion process, and we've all done that. And every day we convert from traffic to customer in a variety of capacities. I showed up at the diner, and I'm traffic coming in the door, and I said, I'll take the Western omelet, and now here's my money, right? That's it. That's a conversion. I converted from traffic to buyer. And it happens in all different ways, in all different technologies or lack of technologies. But here's the question: what made that choice? Why did John walk into that diner and buy the Western omelet? Why? And some of the reasons why I could tell you. Well, the location was convenient, and I calculated that the Western omelet would be the correct nutrition for my my body and stuff, because it needs to eat, right? That's all very nice, okay. But here's the rest of the story, which I may not be thinking about right now, and that is, I like Western omelets. Right, you got the ham, you got the the little bits of diced up peppers, right? Some cheese on there, right? Potatoes on the side, rye toast, of course, rye toast, right? With the butter and the jam. That's what I'm talking about. Why? Because I like Western omelets, man. I just if I'm in a new town and I don't know this restaurant, and I look at their menu and it's breakfast time, I just default to, Western omelet or Denver omelet, depending on how they word it in the menu. For me, that's the barometer of, that establishment at breakfast time. If it's like a Chinese food restaurant, it's General Chow's chicken. General Chow's. Like, I'll understand what that restaurant's about by eating that one dish. If it's Italian, it's lasagna. Serve me your lasagna, and then I will have a complete and an irrefutable, unassailable judgment about that restaurant based on their lasagna. Okay. So when we make decisions, there are hidden determinants. In fact, there was a book written some years ago by Dr. David Hawkins out of Sedona, Arizona, called Power versus Force: The Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior. So I could ask you, why did you buy such and such? Or why did you choose to participate or not participate? Why did you make that decision? And you'll give me your answers. And they'll have some basis in truth, but behind all of that, Hawkins argues, behind all of that is who you are chronically and emotionally, the position from which you experience life. Not to get too deep into the philosophical weeds here, okay? But let's say here's an opportunity. All right, here you can go this way or that way, and let's say here's an opportunity to do e-commerce. Okay, great. And here's the data surrounding that opportunity, right? We've got technologies and we've got products, and here's what we do with the marketing. Okay, so here's the data, and there's nothing personal about the data. It's just the data, right? Think of it like a spreadsheet or something. Okay, and then you have person A and person B who confront this data. Okay, person A is pretty typically enthusiastic, advancing in life, looking for success and an increase, and they will experience that data in such a way where they embrace, wow, what an opportunity! Wow, this is great. Let me participate. Okay, here's person B, same data. Okay. Person B, who let's say chronically is in a state of fear, a different emotion than enthusiasm, right? Here's the enthusiastic person. Here's the chronically fearful person. I'm not saying they can't, have highs and lows, and we all do. We all get that emotional, roller coaster, if you will, at times. But here's the person who chronically sees life as threatening. Same data. They will, oh man, I don't know. I mean, that looks hard. Or, isn't that a scam? Or nobody makes it in those kind of deals. Or fill in the blank. I mean, any excuse will do. Okay. Same data, two different realities. So reality is not as it is, it's as we are. Okay. So when it comes down to recognizing this, if you can picture in your mind, the scenario that I just set up for you with these two people, same opportunity, completely different experiences. Okay. If you could set that up in your mind and you can see that that's real, you've observed that, or you can imagine observing that. All right. Now think of you. Where do you fit into that? Consciously, you'll have some thoughts about that. Well, I think I'm pretty enthusiastic. I mean, I'm kind of a go-getter. And, after all, I got some good reasons to make some money. I got a family to support. I got some goals. Right. I mean, the job sucked. And so I'm looking at, what can I do to express myself, have some, self-determined, control over my time, money, location. All right. So that's your story. That's great. That's great. Who's doing it? Okay. So the person, that's good talk. Okay. But the person who expects to succeed at whatever they do, or the person who's just kind of cautiously, I'm overwhelmed and not sure. I got so much to learn. I got such a long path ahead of me. Okay. Because it's your innermost expectations about yourself. This has been called self-image psychology, Maxwell Maltz, psychocybernetics, stuff like this. Again, we're not going to get too deep into that, but it's actually what makes your choice. Whether you can vocalize it or not, and probably not, unless you've done like a whole lot of study on how the mind works and how you work. So knowing that our choices are based on our emotional state most of the time. Okay, how the position from which we view life, then that would be the cause point that we'd want to address to see, what is really, what am I really expecting and what's really causing me to make the decisions that I make. So the idea here that was originally introduced was when you're at a fork in the road, as Yogi Berra said, take it. But if you're sitting at the fork thinking yes or no, or this route or that route, and you've got a lot of considerations on that, what does that reveal? And that reveals that you're undecisive about that. You're stuck in a maybe. And how do I know this? I've been there many, many times, right? This isn't just theory I'm giving you. I'm an expert at this stuff. I know how to avoid work and decisions. I know how to do that really good. Doesn't profit me to do that. So I've gotten out of my way more often than not. Okay. So here's the consideration. And there's two questions that successful people ask themselves when making a decision, because that's really the goal here, is to make a decision. Yes or no, A or B, right? Maybe's crazy. Nothing happens in a maybe. In fact, here's how we can piss away time for eternity is maybe. There's the magic word, right? Or indecision. Indecision. There's the magic word. Indecision. The enemy of all progress. Okay. So we got to come to a decision, yes or no. So there's two questions that we can ask ourselves when making a decision. In fact, these are the two questions that all successful people ask themselves, whether they vocalize it or not, when making decisions. Number one, will this decision move me in the direction of my goals? And if the answer is yes, will this decision violate the rights of others? And if the answer is no, then there's no third question. You've just made a decision, right? Will this move me in the direction of my goals? In other words, this action, this choice, right? Is this advancing me and my purposes? Yes. Okay, great. Does it hurt you? Does that cause harm? Right? Because I'm an ethical person, right? So no, it doesn't cause harm. Then that's it. So if the answer to the first question is yes, and the second question is no, there's no third question. And we know we've decided because we'll see our feet moving. To decide, but to not act, is to not have decided. Again, that's just talk. It's not a decision. All right. So now, does this mean you're going to make every right decision? No, I haven't made every right decision, but we make every decision turn out right. Okay. So when we make a decision, it's actually a cutting off point, right? So now we're going down that path. All right. In fact, the word decision comes from the Latin root word decidere, which means to cut off from. So it's a cutting off point, right? It's not a whimsical thing. So now we're going down that path. Does that mean that it's a bowl of cherries and tiptoeing through the forest or whatever? No. I mean, you get to have problems, whatever path you're on, you get to have problems. Keeps life interesting. But now that we've decided, now we can go ahead, pivot, navigate, optimize, right? But you can't steer a parked car. So all the considerations, which are the component parts of indecision, considerations. So all those considerations have been done away with. And now you're moving because you can't steer a parked car. So now the car is moving. Now you can steer. Now you can optimize. Now, if making the wrong seems very perilous, everyone, including myself, then what we can look at is where have you made sure? Did you survive? Well, here you are. Okay, so now good news for everybody here. Not so good news. My internet connection is unstable. Are we still live? Can I get a thumbs up from anybody? Scott, I see you. Thank you, Scott. So when we fail, when we so-called fail, at some action or business, life, whatever. When we fail, it's not because we've made the wrong decisions. It's because we returned to indecision. Indecision. There's the enemy. Okay. So Napoleon Hill said in his classic book, Think and Grow Rich, that analysis of over 250 people who had amassed a fortune of over $1 million. This was 1936 when he wrote this. Okay. And $1 million meant something back then. But it revealed the fact that every one of them have formed the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing those decisions slowly if and when they were changed. People who have failed to accumulate money, without exception, take a long time to make decisions and change their minds quickly and often. So the so-called failure isn't because you didn't make an optimal decision. It's because you didn't make a decision. We fell back into considerations. Maybe, well, let me kind of dip my toe in the water. I'm not sure, right? Oh, see, there's problems. I knew there was going to be problems. You see, right? Okay. Getting to a decision. And great news, great news. Worst case scenario, everything you've done up to this point, you've survived, right? It's going to be fine. The idea that we want to keep in mind when we're making decisions is advancement. In other words, where we're going. Henry Ford said, obstacles are those frightening things we see when we take our eyes off our goals. So what's the goal? Okay. And then remember the two questions. Will this decision move me to that? Yes or no? Okay. And if yes, all right, will this decision violate you? I'll quote Hill one more time. He said, an educated person is not a person with a vast amount of general or specialized knowledge. An educated person is a person who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they can acquire anything they want or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. That's an educated person. So there's the barometer once again, right? Is this going to help me acquire what I say I want? In other words, is this a self-determined action which will advance me in life and business and whatever? Yes, great. Does it step on you? No? Okay, great. Let's take the action then. We'll adjust as we go. But guys, one of the first things I had to learn how to do when I was becoming successful as an entrepreneur was reduce the amount of time it takes to get stuff done. What does that mean? That means make decisions quicker. Okay, perfect? No, I don't know about perfect. But imperfect and done beats perfect and not done. Like always. Trying to think of an example where that doesn't fit. Imperfect and done. There it is. Does that help you guys? Are you getting something out of this? Am I making any sense? I hope I am. So, Scott, come on out, brother. I knew you were going to be first.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, to me, the decision itself, what decision you take, as I think you're suggesting, isn't really the issue. It's not what decision you take. It's obviously the fact whether you make a decision or not. The decision to make a decision, and that really depends on the extent to which you have a goal that you're focused on. Because if you're not focused on your goal enough, your self-doubt and the questions of the how-to will always predominate. You either you're focused on the goal or you're focused on the how-to. And if you're focused on the how-to, chances are you won't achieve the goal, because the how-to at the end of the day doesn't really matter. Even if, as you said, you talk about making little decisions, pivoting and course correction, as Maxwell Maltz would say. It doesn't really matter what that decision is, so long as you make a decision. Because if you don't make a decision, you're dead in the water already. And even if you make the wrong decision, it's still better than no decision. And at the end of the day, as long as you have that goal, that objective, anything you do, even if it's the wrong thing, you're still going to be a move forward. Because stepping backwards at least means that you realize that way of doing things wasn't productive. And that at least is a lesson. That little bit of knowledge you gain by making a mistake is something positive that you can use. So I think, what you're saying, I think is extremely important, but I think it's very important that a decision is really a leap of faith into the unknown. You don't know whether your decision is absolutely right or whether it's the wisest course of action or whether it's the best thing to do until you have hindsight. And the only way to have hindsight is to get your feet wet and do something or make a decision. Even if you step into fire, at least you know that's not the way to do it. But it's better than not even knowing that. If you don't even know what's the wrong step, then you have no chance of making the right step either. So it's, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you decide, because to not decide is death, and to decide is, well, you don't even have any choice. You don't really have any choice at all. You have to decide. You got to decide. Otherwise, you're not even in the game.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Scott. I have walked on fire too. That was an interesting experience. Yeah.
That's Tony Robbins.
It was, where was I? I was in the Blue Mountains of Australia,
Huh?
as I recall. Yeah. We were up in the hills there and we were doing an event. And part of the event was we get to walk on the hot coals. And yeah, hundreds of us did it. It was great. Doug put thank you, Doug. He gave an example of how, where imperfect and done does not beat perfect and not done, and that was skydiving. Okay, well, look, I jumped out of a plane once, tandem. All right, I was strapped to the guy who knows what he's doing, right? So we do have standards. All right, that doesn't mean turn out crappy work, right? So in that case, right, I was betting on these experts who have jumped thousands of times. In fact, I got one friend who has done over 5,000 jumps. And then they do like the aerial stunts and whatever perfectly. I don't know about perfectly. Okay. But I mean, there's variables too. But the point is that they got it done and done and done, and they became experts at that. So I'm not saying abandon your standards, everyone, and just, throw crappy work. No. All right. Have standards. Okay. But that also relates to who's doing it, right? Somebody with standards. So we don't just jump out of planes without a standardly packed, parachute. What do you think, Amy? Amy, save us here. What are we talking about? Amy Stroop, ladies and gentlemen. Amy, come on out. Amy.
I had to figure out how to unmute myself.
There
Hi,
you go.
everybody. I wanted to mention one of the books on your list is Mel Robbins' 5-Second Rule.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone has trouble with indecision, and I do, that's a tremendous book, because basically what she states, and I don't want to, spoiler alert, I don't want to, mess up the book, the ending for you, but basically it's a 5-second decision. You count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And like in the morning, instead of pressing your snooze button, you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to get my butt up out of bed. Or, she says in that 5 seconds is when you make that decision, whether you're going to stay in bed or get up, or it could, you could apply that to anything. And I always think of her when I want to, I want to do something, but I don't, but my body's like, no, my mind's like, go do it. My body's like, no. And, you could, you have to light that fire. And so anyone having trouble with that, I totally recommend that book. It's phenomenal. I got to hear Mel Robbins speak at a conference once live, and she's like one of the most amazing people. She's incredible. Great person to listen to and look up to.
Thank you, Amy. Good time.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One more thing I wanted to mention. You guys had talked about walking on fire. That same convention, we actually did the arrow. I don't even know what you call it, where you put the arrow on your neck, walk through it.
Yeah.
And I've done that several times, and each time it sounds like it's easy to do, but once you get there and that arrow's right there on your neck, and you're like, you have to get rid of your self-doubt. And it's huge to be able to break the arrow and walk through it, and it's empowering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's there's been exercises like that we've done in various events just throughout my history, and the elation that people feel when they overcome that doubt, that can translate into other areas of their life, right? So what else did you think you couldn't do, right? Amy, have you found that useful outside of the convention and the arrow itself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not to be too graphic, but I basically tell myself I got to grab my balls and go. That's just, you got to just pick yourself up and go, and don't think about necessarily what's going to happen. Try not to what the end result you want it to be. Just, you have to get there. If you're going to make a mistake, it's going to happen. Make a mistake, then you fix it and you move on. You try not to dwell on what ifs, just go do. And that goes with life in general too, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Plan for tomorrow, but live like today is the only day you have. And there you go. There's my philosophy. I think you froze up on me. Hello. Can anybody else hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Hi. Hmm.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah, I think John's frozen.
Should I take offense to that or something? No, I'm just teasing.
I think you shocked him.
Oh, I didn't mean to. I got too philosophical.
No, that's okay. I think his internet must be a little bit dodgy. That's all.
Well, I'm glad somebody heard my story anyway. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, where's he gone? He's really gone.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Scott, I need your background.
my background.
Yeah, Santa needs the Northern Lights back there.
Oh, that's just oh gee, what is that? Like a Zoom background thing. That's
Zoom.
all.
Okay.
All right. Am I back?
Yes, you are.
John, should I take
Hello?
offense?
Oh my goodness.
In
I
the
was
middle of my
saying-
story? No, I'm just teasing. I'm
I
teasing.
was about to say, Amy, one of our internet connections is not doing so good, and then poof, everything just blew up on me.
No
So I just
worries.
switched. Yeah, I just switched to cellular data, which isn't even that strong in my location. So thank you guys. It looks like Ricardo's got a hot mic. And Ricardo, were you in the middle of talking? Did I interrupt you?
No, I didn't know it was that loud. I'm in the truck, so I'll just put myself on mute.
Oh, all good. All good. Very good. All right, everyone. Well, any other thoughts on this before we get on with actually applying it into our lives? All right. Well, then we're all good. Sorry about the bad internet connection today. Don't jump out of a plane with at least, a well-packed chute. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be up to standard. All right. I'll see you guys real soon. Make it a great day.